Welcome to the Go Beyond Disruption podcast series, brought to you by the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, the unified voice of the AICPA and CIMA. My name is Kristen Hughes, and I am the Associate Director of Technology in the area of Advisory Services and Credentialing with the association. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Amy Vetter and Ron Quaranta, who recorded this interview in 2019 and will be discussing a topic that is top of mind in the accounting and finance profession today, the adoption of blockchain and crypto assets. Amy Vetter is the chair of the Technology Innovation Task Force with the AICPA Information Management and Technology Assurance Executive Committee, and Ron Quaranta serves as chairman of the Wall Street Blockchain Alliance, an industry-leading nonprofit trade association with a mission to guide and promote comprehensive adoption of blockchain technology across global markets. They both possess a wealth of knowledge in the emerging technology space, and we'll be talking about how blockchain is impacting firms and organizations of all sizes. After listening to this podcast, I encourage you to explore additional resources on blockchain, digital assets, and other emerging technologies at aicpa.org/technology. Enjoy the podcast.
Hi, I'm Amy Vetter. I am the leader of the Innovations Task Force for the IMTA Committee. And Ron, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So thanks for having me, Amy. Ron Quaranta. I currently serve as chairman of the board of the Wall Street Blockchain Alliance, which is a nonprofit trade association based in New York. And we have footprint in London and Sydney. Later this year, we'll have footprint in Shanghai, really with a mission to guide and promote comprehensive adoption of blockchain technology and crypto assets across global financial markets. And so our members are banks and trading firms and fintech firms, but also our fastest growing demographic of member is actually the accounting practice and the accounting practitioner. So it's great to be here.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about why the Wall Street Blockchain Alliance even came to be.
I'd been involved in blockchain for a bit, probably starting in 2012, but around 2014, we started having conversations with industry participants about what is the safe space, the trade association for global financial markets, and the entirety of the ecosystem. It's not just about banks. It's not just about trading. There's this, the ripple effect. There are lawyers involved. There are accounting firms involved. There are insurance firms involved. There are regulators. So we founded in 2015 the Wall Street Blockchain Alliance really as that trade association for global financial markets. And ever since then, it's been a roller coaster ride of education, educating members about what this is and what it means, as well as advocacy and kind of guiding the evolution of the marketplace.
So you said that starting to shift within the alliance of having a big accounting firm segment. So how is blockchain technology affecting them today, and why are they becoming members?
Sure. It's a really interesting question because when we started having this conversation with accounting firms and accounting practitioners, it was early days and it was, wait, I thought Bitcoin's illegal. What is blockchain? I don't quite understand. That conversation's evolved significantly. It's the challenges of how do you understand taxation of crypto assets and how do you report on that? How might blockchain be used for things like audit? And how might smart contracts be used for audit? What does blockchain do for things like corporate reporting? It's even taking that a step further. When you look at the accounting practitioner, you think about SOC 1 and SOC 2. How will blockchain be part of SOC 1 and SOC 2? And even as that evolves, how do you audit a blockchain? Will it be the accounting practitioner that needs to be part of that dialogue? And there's some really intriguing use cases that are happening right now. So one of the firms that we work with is a member firm of the WSBA called Libertech. They leverage technology, blockchain technology, to do both crypto asset reporting and taxation calculation, and that'll feed into corporate reporting, and that'll feed into other functions that the accounting practitioner needs in what we're calling a blockchain world. So it's moving pretty fast.
I just find the whole thing so fascinating with how it's evolved over time. And one of the biggest questions I get from accountants when talking about blockchain is really give me specifics. Like a specific example of how do I either with a client recommend or put it into my practice? What does this even look like?
Yeah, I mean, every one of the big four has a team dedicated to looking at blockchain technology and crypto assets. And again, across those work streams and those work lines that we've been talking about, audit and assurance and attestation and taxation and corporate reporting, I think for the profession broadly, it's still a bit early days as we figure out what's the impact of crypto assets, what are the impacts of blockchain technology and implementations for the accounting professional. But the other side of that is we help the accounting professional look at their clients, quite bluntly. So it's not just about what will blockchain do for the accounting practitioner, which is something important, but how does the accounting professional advise and talk to their clients about blockchain technology and crypto assets? We have a global partnership with AICPA and CPA.com where they'll set standards and work on guidance for the profession. And from our perspective, we feed into that knowledge. We feed into that education. So our argument is for the professional, the accounting professional, it is not too early. You need to get involved and understand, or at least begin to understand now. It will definitely change the profession.
So can you give me an example of a specific firm, of an issue they've encountered with a client and how they've gone about it?
The simplest example that we see is still the smaller practitioner that says, Ron, I don't know what to do. I've got a client who told me he made $1 million in Ron coin or Amy coin.
Right.
What do I do?
Right.
Where does the 1099 come from? Where were they trading? How do I manage this? And what we're trying to do is put forward answers to those specific things. And it's interesting, AICPA put forward, I wouldn't call it best practices, basically guidance or guideposts and guidelines around here's what you do from a taxation perspective. And it's a complicated conversation. When you look at the regulatory landscape, IRS, as you know, calls it property. And the SEC says, well, a lot of those tokens are equities or securities.
Right.
The FTC says, well, they're kind of commodities. And we know that from a taxation and an accounting and a financial perspective, those all have different ramifications.
Right.
So I think the landscape's evolving where crypto assets are the first line of defense that the profession needs to be a part of. The technology and how it evolves the role come from all of that conversation.
So are there specific technologies out there that can help them through the audit process if they end up having a client with cryptocurrency or smart contracts or however, whatever they're encountering? Where would they even begin?
When we look at the crypto asset stuff first, specifically, a lot of the trading that's happening now is happening on exchanges. And a lot of these exchanges are structured as either trust companies or money services businesses. So they have tax reporting tools. So Coinbase is a good example, Gemini. So the accounting practitioner should get familiar with interacting with those firms and reaching out to get the tax information that they would need on behalf of clients. One last thing real quickly, and again, given the partnership with AICPA, you and I know they've got a ton now of learning material about blockchain, blockchain in financial services, blockchain in supply chain. The practitioner absolutely needs to get comfortable with looking at what AICPA has put forward.
But if I'm a solo practitioner or a smaller firm without a lot of resources, what do I do? Because I'm already really busy. So do I turn away those clients or do I start some other way? And what would you recommend?
Yeah, so my recommendation is there's still a lot of noise out there, but for the small or solo practitioner, don't turn away the client. Educate yourself about being able to at least guide and answer some of those questions. If you're a solo practitioner in the accounting profession and someone says, what's Bitcoin or what's a crypto asset, and you don't have an answer, you're already falling behind. There's a lot of resources. Again, AICPA, certainly the Wall Street Blockchain Alliance publishes and has a lot of material that's available. Be prepared to tell your clients, look, I'm aware. I understand. We're looking at where this is evolving. And part of the work we try to do is cut through the noise. So don't go to Reddit or Twitter. There are some people to follow on Twitter, you in particular, Amy, and some of our other colleagues, because we're trying to cut through to the essentials for the small practitioner in particular. And the other aspect of that is it's not just about the technology. Don't be afraid of the technology as the solo or small practitioner. And again, I reference IBM or Microsoft. They have tons of material that's at what I call a product level or the everyday user level. You don't have to know how to code, but you need to be able to understand and explain to a client at some point, hey, I know what a blockchain is. We're looking into this. Let me point you in the right direction. And our argument is that makes the advisor function, that trusted source, that trusted advisor function of the practitioner even more important in the future.
Yeah. So have you seen where things have gone wrong for an accounting firm? Any examples of like what kind of things should people watch out for where you've seen someone go down the wrong path?
Don't go down the road of trying to be technology. Focus on your wheelhouse and your strengths. I've seen more than a fair share of small and even some mid-sized firms nationwide who said, well, we're going to build a blockchain and we'll plug all our clients in and and it just falls apart because it's very hard to scale something like that. It's very hard to manage. And truthfully, there's already tools out there for them. You don't have to reinvent that wheel. The other thing I'm seeing practitioners, I don't want to say fail at, but are falling behind a bit on is, again, flipping away from the technology, crypto assets. When you look at where crypto assets evolving, be able to offer advice or guidance about what they mean for for clients. Don't be ignorant about, well, there's just Bitcoin. I hear about Bitcoin in the news and, JP Morgan doesn't like it. Well, be able to talk about JP Morgan now has its own crypto asset, that there are dozens and dozens of crypto assets that you will have clients that might be getting paid in some of these crypto assets. Or look at some of the other use cases. If you're an accounting practitioner focused on real estate, for example, you and I know that real estate is being tokenized and sold leveraging blockchain technology. Mm-hmm. The accounting practitioner needs to be at least aware of that because that's going to directly affect their business.
So any other tips or tricks that you want to share that I haven't asked you that would help our accounting practices and accounting professionals?
Don't dismiss how much resources are already available for you. People like you and I, we post and we author things repeatedly. Look at AICPA, again, as that trusted source because they've already created a big library. Be very careful about who you ingest information from in this space. There's still a lot of noise. Don't worry about the major media highlights of, crypto assets are used for drug running or something. It's much more deep than that. It's much more important than that. So avail yourself. So what I call constant learning. You need to be plugged into, even if it's some portion of your week, to understand how this is evolving. That will differentiate you as an accounting professional in the future.
It's a way to start understanding other use cases of how it's being used.
And two that I would recommend, obviously you post regularly, the WSBA, we have an accounting working group podcast.
Oh, that's great.
That we put out weekly. There's a podcast called On the Chain that I think is worth watching. Anthony Pompliano, I suspect really with a financial markets and crypto asset angle. There's another one called Unchained.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with everyone today. And these resources will be posted as well so that you can follow on and learn more about the Wall Street Blockchain Alliance. Thank you.
Thanks to Amy Vetter and Ron Quaranta for sharing their insights about the adoption of blockchain technology and crypto assets. There's plenty more to explore about this topic, so our show notes will have links to all of the resources we've mentioned. To view them, just click on the episode's info icon in the podcast app on your smartphone or tablet, or open the episode in your computer's web browser. You'll find everything you need right there. As a reminder, visit AICPA.org/technology, where you can learn more about courses, webcasts, and other professional development resources that will help keep you ahead of the curve with blockchain, digital assets, and other emerging technologies. Thanks again to our guests, and of course, thanks to all of you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, tell a friend or colleague or share it online. You can even email us directly using the feedback link in our show notes. We'd love to know what you think and what you'd like to hear more of. We'll be back soon with more conversations that help you, your organization, and the profession to go beyond disruption. From the Durham office of the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, I'm Kristen Hughes.
This podcast is designed to provide illustrative information with respect to the subject matter covered and does not represent an official opinion or position of the AICPA or AICPA.org. It is provided with the understanding that the AICPA and AICPA.org are not engaged in offering legal, accounting, or other professional service. If such advice or expert assistance is required, the services of a competent professional person should be sought. The AICPA and AICPA.org make no representations, warranties, or guarantees as to, and assume no responsibility for, the content or application of the material contained herein, and especially disclaim all liability for any damages arising out of the use of, reference to, or reliance on such material.